Hey John, got some great news. We've got a sponsor.
Have we?
Big thanks to the guys at Viking Covers for coming on board and supporting My Dad's Car podcast. Please check them out at vikingcovers.co.uk if you're looking for indoor or outdoor car covers. You'll be hearing a lot more from them soon, but for now, here's the episode.
Welcome to My Dad's Car. Enjoy!
Welcome to My Dad's Car, a podcast discussing our personal relationship with automotive nostalgia. And you know what? It doesn't even have to be about your dad's car. It can be your mum's, your grand's, your parents', guardians, or even a neighbour's. If it made an impression, let's talk about it. Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can.
This is wonderful news. I've set up in my friend James and Martha's kitchen again because I've got builders in at home and they're auditioning for Stomp. So hopefully, yeah, I think they'll get the role. But a bit noisy at home, so yeah, I've wandered up the road. I brought both laptops with me because I couldn't remember which one would connect to.
Right, the Wi-Fi,
to
yeah.
the Wi-Fi. So kind of, yeah, it's like curries.
Only without the naan bread.
Yeah. Sadly. How you doing, Andy? You all right?
All right, how you doing?
Yeah, we're good, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us.
Hi, Andy. How you doing?
Hi, John.
For the benefit of the tape, we're joined by Andy Plumb, who I think I stumbled across your work on Instagram. Good old Instagram. Turns up wonderful people doing wonderful things. And forgive me if I'm wrong, you're a car designer of some sorts, in particular involved with the Reliant Robin, or the redesign of.
Yeah, that's exactly right, yeah.
So, as listeners may or may not kind of recall, I had some involvement with a three-wheeled van back in my very early days. Before I could actually drive, my mum bought me a Reliant super van so I could mess around with it on the drive. So I have got a soft spot for three-wheelers.
Excellent.
So that kind of just adds to the intrigue, really. So, welcome along. Where can people find you, Andy, if they want to look you up?
Well, they can find me on Instagram or LinkedIn, and they can have a look on my publisher website as well, if they like.
Okay, fantastic. So, without further ado, what's your earliest car memory?
Well, I think it's when I was a real little kid, and I was always a geek, and I could look out the window of the back of my mum and dad's car and tell them what car was following at night, just by the look of the headlamps. and that's how geeky I was. And so I think the oldest car I remember was always Fords, like Ford Corsair, I think.
Okay.
And I loved that car.
Yeah, I can relate to that, actually. You try and spot the cars either off the wing mirror that's just kind of pulling next to you or off the rear lights or, the front lights or whatever. Just, you set these little challenges in your head.
Yeah.
And what colour was the Ford Corsair?
I think it was a blue one, I think.
Cool. And who was in the car? Have you got brothers and sisters as well, or is it just you?
Yeah, I've got a younger sister and my mum and dad. They'd have been in the car, and I think I'd have bored them all senseless by telling them which car was following us at every given moment.
Where do you feel that came from? Is that kind of an influence perhaps from parents or grandparents or something, or is it just popped up?
Just popped up. I loved cars. I know my grandfather was into cars a lot.
Okay.
But no, I've from an early age always wanted to, I've loved cars. That's it. I can't explain it.
Fair enough.
Have you got any memorable cars that your mum or your dad had at all?
Well, they were pretty dull. They weren't into cars. So mum had a Morris Minor Traveller, and my dad had a Morris Oxford. And then he went off Morris's and British Leyland and got into Fords. So they had a Cortina.
Okay.
I think the best car my dad ever had was a Launch Sierra, an A-Reg Sierra Gear Company car.
Nice.
And that was wow.
So, you mentioned, obviously, your mum and your dad. Were your mum and dad both working? What were they doing? What were their careers?
My dad was, he was a company man, and mum was a stay-at-home mum.
Yeah.
It's quite a common theme, isn't it, among older parents, like dad at work, stay-at-home mum.
Yeah, and I think it's good. I think it's great. I'm glad that, my parents decided to do that. And I've done the same myself with my stepkids, as I'm the one who works, and my wife has been a stay-at-home mum, so that's great.
Yeah, definitely. What was your sort of typical journey, if we kind of go back to your childhood? Were you taking the car to school, or was it cars for weekends or holidays, or?
Car to school. Basically, car to school, I think, was probably the main journeys, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was what, a couple of miles or sort of a longer journey?
No, just a couple of miles. I think my parents lived right on the outskirts of Ashburton in Devon.
Okay.
And my dad always has an eye for a bargain, so he bought a house on that triangle of land between the dual carriageway and the slip road to the dual carriageway. So we got through a few family cats, put it that way.
Oh my God.
Oh, goodness.
Your back garden like a memorial for past cats.
You could say that, yes.
Yeah.
But plenty of car spot in there, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Definitely.
How about school friends, that sort of thing? Any memorable cars that their parents may have had?
Oh, I think everybody's quite dull. I remember one guy I didn't know particularly well, a year or two older than me. His dad had an E-Type,
Oh.
and that was obviously his Sunday car. Every time I sort of walk past with the Scouts or something like that, I'd see an E-Type in their front sort of yard area. And it wasn't a collector's car then, but it obviously is still something absolutely special and, amazing. So I think that was the only thing that springs to mind, really, if I'm honest.
What colour was that?
I think it was a dark blue or black, from what I remember.
A cabriolet or hardtop?
No, coupe.
Okay.
Probably if I'm going to cast mine back, it would have been the Series 1, Series 2, something like that.
Yeah.
It was an earlier one.
Very nice. Was there kind of a halo car for you growing up? Obviously, you got into a design sort of aesthetic-led industry. Was there a poster on the wall which was kind of the car you always wanted?
I never had a Lamborghini or a Testarossa on the wall, I'm afraid. I was always a bit too geeky for that. So I think I always had from a 2CV poster on the wall when Car Magazine did their photo shoot of the last 2CVs to be built in Paris. So that was on my wall.
Okay.
And Ford Sierra and Fords, really. I thought they were amazing design-wise, when they launched Sierra and Granada Scorpios and whatever. So I'm afraid they're the story of my life, but there's nothing too glamorous about my car things as a kid.
I think, we've done quite a lot of these now. It's not always about the glamour, is it, John, of these? It's kind of, It's sort of unpicking the little stories, and I guess we'll get on to music in a minute and those sort of things and the trips you take. And then as you sort of start going through these things, you kind of unlock little memories. You're like, oh, I forgot about that. And then, on that day, we broke down. But the guy who came to fix the car was X, Y, and Z, or he knew this person, or, and then, all of a sudden we sort of start unpicking those things. It's obviously all of these things which kind of go past in our life then lead us to where we are today, don't they?
Yeah, unwittingly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, unwittingly, you're not sort of at that moment in time thinking, Sierra on the wall or 2CV on the wall, I'm going to go and do this. But they all sort of come together, and I guess those vehicles are a bit more sort of utilitarian. They're more practical, which I guess is what you sort of went into.
Yes and no, but I did always want to be a car designer. I remember always down the corner shop or whatever with Mum at the little supermarket in Ashburton. And the vicar would say, so what would you like to be when you grow up, young Andrew? And I never once said, I want to be an engine driver or something like that. It was always, I want to colour in cars for a living. And I wanted to be a car designer since I was 6.
Yeah.
So bizarrely, never liked any exotic cars. I don't know, just can't explain.
Fantastic. That was what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a car designer, and I'm not nearly talented enough to do it, but that was kind of my dream for a long time, was to do that.
Must say your impersonation of a vicar is outstanding as well.
Yeah, very much so.
My parents went to church, and so my vicar was called Mr. Charnley, which was quite a fantastic old-fashioned name, that is.
Yeah.
But proper Devonshire accent as well.
Nice.
I think he did some voiceover work as Father Christmas as well about that vicar, I think.
I think he probably did, yeah. He didn't have a beard as far as I remember, though.
Oh, that can be arranged these days, can't it?
Yeah, I guess it could, yeah.
The wonders of fancy dress. So, if we go back to kind of, I guess, childhood journeys, were you taking holidays in the car? Where would you be going? You're already in the West Country, which was everyone else's holiday destination.
That's right. Well, we didn't really. I think we went to holiday out of Cornwall, or we went to the New Forest. I think it's as far away as we went. And they were always caravan holidays. I never went abroad.
Yeah.
And
Static caravan?
No, a proper tourer.
Oh, a tower.
Oh, okay.
Towed behind the Forest Traveller, which always overheated. Or then later on, my dad, as I say, eye for a bargain, went to car auction to buy the family cars. And we had a Mark II Escort 4-door in this forest green, because somebody wrote my mum's green Morris Traveller off. And I remember it stank of cigarette smoke inside, and it lent a bit with odd panel gaps all the way around that Dad had managed to pick up from the car auction. But as a kid, I didn't really know any different. But that used to overheat in the caravan as well. That's my overbearing memory of caravan holidays was overheating by the side of the M5 or whatever it was.
Fantastic.
Is that something that would happen? Kind of everyone out, cups of tea on a rug at the side of the road while you pull back down, or
Probably I sat on a potty having a wee, I should think. But
On the subject of that, I had to. This is not a personal story for myself. It's driving my daughter to piano yesterday, or both of them actually, 5 and 7. And the 5-year-old, as soon as we left the house, I need the toilet badly. So yeah, we had to stop on the A2, which is a new one for us. Traffic whizzing by.
al fresco.
Yeah.
yeah.
We got it done. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, we just never really had a car that we towed the caravan. Dad's company cars never had a tow bar. Yeah, always had Cortinas or Sierras.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a couple of Sierras and a couple of Cortinas, and they were always the ones that were looked after. And I think the family cars were the ones that took the beating.
Mm.
Did you manage to get any influence on the car choices at all? Or was it solely down to your father or your mother?
When I was older, they found out I was into my Fords and stuff. So Dad would spec his company car and say, "What do you think I should get?" And occasionally he would listen to me, and occasionally not. He was into bright coloured cars for safety. So we had a signal orange Cortina,
Fantastic.
and then we had a primrose yellow Cortina.
Nice.
And then because he couldn't get orange or yellow for his Sierra, he got a white Sierra, which was his closest. And apart from that, I think I had a choice in the interior trim colour and stuff.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We discussed recently, didn't we, with another guest, the lack of sort of vibrant colours nowadays on new cars.
Yeah.
There are a few, aren't there, that have sort of crept in, but mainly if you go into like a supermarket car park, it's just a sea of greys and blacks and silvers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame, really.
Yeah, it is. I think it's changing a bit. I think people are becoming a bit braver, but the trouble is everybody's got the cars on hire purchase or whatever on payments, and so they're worried about resale more than what they really want to have themselves, I think.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I guess that's true. And yeah, I suppose maybe they won't take a Larry coloured one back at the same value.
I don't think they do, no. I know that whenever I've worked at a company and we've had company cars, the colour scheme that we've been allowed to have has been quite muted.
Oh, okay. Well, that would make sense then. Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, your journeys, etc. Would your parents be listening to anything? Did you have the radio on or music playing?
No, Mum was listening to Terry Wogan a lot, I suppose, when she was by herself. But no, Dad's never been into music really, so I haven't really gained any of my parents' music tastes, shall we say.
Okay.
I think Terry was a staple, wasn't he, for a lot of parents? Certainly in my on school runs, my dad would have that on religiously.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that turned into Simon Mayo for me, I think, when I was listening to that on my student days.
It's funny, isn't it, when you get to an age where you start listening to Radio 2 and you kind of, you're like, oh, I remember when this came out. It's sort of a rite of passage. You think, I've kind of got to that age.
Simon Mayo was Radio 1 back then, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, true. That shows my age. Was your father handy with the spanners? Is that why he kind of went down the auction route, or just a risk taker?
Yes, he was. He's always done his own maintenance and stuff like that, which I've taken over that sort of, thriftiness.
Yeah.
And I quite like doing it, if I'm honest. As long as it's not too hardcore, then that's good.
And so, kind of come those breakdowns, would he get you out of trouble with that? Or were you then calling the AA?
No, he's always sorting out himself. Yeah, that's right. I don't think we had AA membership back then. That would have been too frivolous.
You paint a wonderful picture of it, and I guess, yeah, at least he wasn't setting you up for a complete fall by buying kind of some old sheds and going, well, I don't even know how to fix it. Like,
no.
He sort of knew his way around a toolbox.
Yeah, he did, yeah. You know, we had a barn at the top of the garden, which had lathes in and stuff like that, so he was quite handy. Did his own building work, that sort of thing. Still does, actually.
Oh, wow.
In fact, he's 82 now, and he can still shift a ton of rubble quicker than I can.
Wow.
Fantastic.
A medical marvel.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yes. He looks the same as a 60-year-old, so it's working somewhere along the line.
That's great news. So you mentioned obviously your grandparents a little bit earlier on. What was the story there with regards to vehicles? Do you remember what they were driving in? And
Yeah, my grandfather was a bit of a character. So he was a Lancaster bomber pilot in the war.
oh wow,
So he was a group captain. He had E-types. He changed his car once every year or two, and he had Jaguars and Porsches and all sorts of lovely cars,
Wow.
which when I was older, I was allowed to ride in. And I remember cramming, he had a Porsche 944 at the time. And that was the fastest I've ever been, obviously just 70 miles an hour down the B roads in the back seat of his car.
yeah,
And that was my first experience of going fast in a car. But because of his profession, he was an amazing driver. And everything seemed very slow and ordered. Nothing was panicked or whatever. It was, everything was totally in control. And even in his 70s. And so that was my first experience of proper cars, as it were.
yeah. Do you remember the colour on the 944?
Had a couple, so we had a white one and a gold one.
Nice.
Cool. I've got one, so yeah,
Oh, lovely.
yeah, I'm quite a fan of them.
Absolutely. Is yours an S1 or an S2?
So yes, it's oval dash, so later dashboard, but it's a 2.5, so it's kind of the smaller engine.
Yeah.
It's not got the turbo spec sort of bumpers, etc.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's been messed around with, and yeah, it's good. It's good fun.
Yeah, I think they're awesome cars, really good looking cars. So, yeah, one of my friends has got a black one at the moment
Yeah.
and absolutely loves it. Yeah.
So if we kind of touch on your profession, I suppose, when did you get into it, and what sort of things have you been drawing?
Well, I got into it, as I say, from the age of 6. And of course, I wish my mum had kept my first watercolours. There was just like constable painting at the age of 6. And I think it had 2 wheels in purple or something like that of a splodge. But that was my first attempt at car drawing. And I always sort of drew cars at home or in lessons, the usual thing on exercise books and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And at the age of 13, to select my GCSE options, because I was the first year to do GCSEs, I wrote to Ford and said, how do I become a car designer? Because obviously careers were useless.
Yeah.
And they thought I was going to be a mechanic or, I don't know, an engineer. And I was like, no, I want to colour in. So I wrote to Ford, and Ford wrote back with a complete list of qualifications and which university I should go to.
Wow.
And I followed that list, basically. And that's how I got into it.
Amazing. Well done, Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah, really helpful. And I've still got them. I used to copy these books of Ford, Sierra and Scorpio design processes and renderings. And that's how I learned how to draw, was copying those.
Amazing.
And I've still got them. And I still look at those books now, and I'm still filled with the same awe I was as a kid, as like the skill of these designers. The irony, of course, or the nice thing, whichever you look at it, is that as later on down the line, I actually sat next to some of these designers in the studio. And one of them I'm still friends with, and came to my wedding. And they're my heroes, but ever such lovely people. Not that I'm a stalker or anything.
We've discussed the careers issue, haven't we, before, Andy, and how sort of poor it was. And I'm assuming it's still not brilliant now, but the amount of sort of careers that they probably, knocked on the head quite quickly. Some people might have had the foresight you did to go and write to Ford, or it's amazing, really, isn't it, when you think they just kind of want to push people into a direction that you're not necessarily interested in at all. It's just a bit of a sort of, I don't know, like a one-size-fits-all type. You're interested in cars, you've got to be a mechanic or an engineer.
Yeah, there is that. And there's also, I was warned many times about how competitive it was and how difficult it was to get a job. And once you're there, I'd be burnt out by the time I was 35 or 40 at least. And, all these flags were held up by my dad as well. He thought, well, why do you want to do that? Surely you want to be a doctor or a solicitor or something like that, is a proper profession. And I insisted, and fair play to my parents, they backed me all the way through.
Right.
And here we are. Yeah. And I'm still not burnt out.
Great.
And I know I only look 35, and that's what it is.
You can take after your father.
That's it. Yes. Yeah.
I was discussing with my wife the other day about what our kids might end up doing. I was trying to sort of persuade her to push them towards being an electrician or a plumber or a mechanic, just so we can get some, cheap boiler servicing, that sort of thing. Or
They probably make more money than a solicitor nowadays.
you probably do, yeah.
Have more job security, I should think.
Yeah.
So are you still on the tools, so to speak, these days? Are you still doing cars?
Very much so, yes. Yeah. I've been lucky enough to, touch wood, never been unemployed. So I've been on the tools for 30 years.
Nice.
I've worked it out. I think in March this year it was 30 years this year.
Okay.
Brilliant.
And how's that evolved over kind of the years with regards to kind of what the briefs are? Is that changing? Is the consumer asking for something different, or I guess safety?
It depends on who the person I work for is, whether it's high or low volume, whether it's custom made or mass production, whether it's interior or exterior. But I think the overriding themes are, especially recently, the last 5 years, there's been some huge changes in the way software has worked since lockdown, actually. And also the advent of the Chinese taking over has changed the way that everybody works as well.
Okay.
And those are the two main events, I think. I think we've had pretty much 20 years of being very creative and being allowed some space and freedom. And now, in the last 5-10 years, the screws are turning, I think.
Mm.
And do you think is the aesthetic still as important as it was for the vehicles?
Yeah, definitely. Everybody buys on the aesthetic as a proportion.
Yeah.
And in fact, the interior is getting more important than the exterior.
Fair enough. That's interesting.
I can believe that, though, because the people that I speak to that do get new cars frequently, they'll always tell you about the new features of the inside of the car rather than the exterior. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's getting there, and it's changing with everybody who's now able to drive. There's an age group of people that are not so interested in driving or car ownership, and they're not into so much classic cars or what you might call machines. They're more interested in the tech. And so, what size screen you have on the inside or how the buttons work or the layout of the interior and the user experience and the user interface is as important in a way as the aesthetic. And of course, the exterior is what, everybody's lured into the vehicle with, and that's still there, still really important, but the others are gaining importance on it, I would say.
Interesting.
Yeah, I guess, from that point of view, if you're not into driving, it's about positioning, I suppose, and how you interact with that. How comfortable is the seat? How far away is the steering wheel? And in the same way that if you get given a rubbish mobile phone to operate, you're like, I'm not using that.
Yeah.
Like, if you can't find your favourite radio station or turn the aircon down, then it could be the best looking car in the world, but it's going to drive you mad, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, so it's all important. And so the amount of jobs that there are, the amount of job roles that there are have multiplied too, because, when I started 30 years ago, there wasn't such a thing as a user interface designer.
No.
Or, there weren't specialists in headlamp design or something like that, because that was done as part of the job. And now, because the cars are so detailed and have so many features on them, you get more job roles evolving.
Yeah, interesting. And if we go back to, I guess, the cars you grew up around, are there cars from your childhood which you kind of think, actually, I'd like to revisit and kind of go back to?
Oh, what, to own, you mean, or to...
Yeah. Has any of that kind of inspired you, like maybe the cars of your parents or... I'm so much into classic cars still. I mean, it's very sad to say that the cars that were new when I was a kid are now classics, or, I've got my ear trumpet somewhere. I think the Ford Sierra is well up there. Obviously, the XR4i with its biplane rear wings, still knocks the wind out of me when I see one, even though it's, to other people, it's probably still very old. I don't know, it's something I hold on to. Everybody has those initial feelings, don't they? Whatever, and that's one of them, I think, is a Sierra XR4i.
Nice.
Interestingly, on the XR4i, I was never certain on the 3 side windows. Where do you stand on that from a design point of view?
I know when I was a kid, it sort of took me ages to figure it out, but I think it's genius, actually.
Okay.
I think it's a genius bit of marketing. And you look at the standard Sierra 3-door that they had on the Continent and briefly here, it looked really dull. And all they did was add this extra pillar and a line across that side window, and suddenly it became something that, had the same sort of look as the Mark III Escort before it, with a quarter-light window and the same number of windows, but a different proportion. And that made it look more sporty, I think. Ford were absolute geniuses back then of making something out of very little.
Yeah. I guess maybe I looked at it from Cosworth down rather than sort of 3-door up. And you kind of looked at it and you were like, oh, it's not a Cosworth because it's got the split side window. But actually, if you looked at it next to a basic L model, then, if the Cosworth never existed, it's the fancy one, isn't it?
It is. And the Cosworth obviously had, wings and everything else and the skirts and whatever. And that looked different. And I really like the fact that The Cosworth looked fantastic and is, again, one of my favourite Sierras, especially in that moonstone grey.
Yeah.
But if they had an XR4i, because it was a decade earlier almost, it had that sort of early 80s tech feel, like Spectrum computers and Commodore, all that sort of tech feel, sci-fi feel to it. And that's what I quite like about it.
Yeah.
It's the first sort of introduction of curves, wasn't it, really? The Sierra and the Granada. I think we've discussed this before as well, because it was all a little bit boxy before then, wasn't it? And then
it's very fashionable, yeah. I mean, but look, at the same time, the Gandini did the Citroen BX, and he did that just to be a bit different.
Oh, if only we had £1, John.
Yeah.
Normally we put £1 in a jar if someone mentions the Citroen BX. I'll do that as an edit.
Get that in there.
I've had 3 of them, so there's £3.
Oh, really? Brilliant. We do like a BX.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big Citroen fan, I'm afraid. And that's what I learned about these designers at Ford, who, if you look more and more at these early Fords, they all of the designers had Citroens.
Okay.
They had GSAs and BXs and 2CVs, and all of them loved Citroens and DSs. And so if you look at all these sort of Fords, they all quietly influenced by Citroens behind the scenes, because that's what the designers all drove.
I guess the Sierra has got that sort of silhouette similar to a DS, isn't it? The sort of
the jelly mold shape. Yeah, I think that's down to Patrick Lequemore, really, and the first aerodynamic studies.
Yeah, and that was I probably missed the Sierra being launched, but that's what I remember from kind of literature and stuff. It was all about coefficient of drag and aerodynamics, and I remember seeing kind of pictures in magazines or books with sort of the wind tunnel sort of ripples going over it, etc., sort of indicating how slippery it was in comparison to whatever it was that would have been on the forecourt alongside it, Montego or something.
Exactly.
Volvo.
Montego. I've owned one of those too. That was my graduation car. I rearranged the badging to read "Me Not Go" on the back of that.
So, am I right in thinking you've got something to do with 2CVs as well now?
I own one, yes.
So, you've hit the dizzy heights. You've got the car to match the poster.
I have, yeah. In fact, I've spoken to Steve Cropley about the one he did and the one he turbocharged, but I'm in the middle of restoring one, actually.
Okay.
Nice.
So, have you driven it? Does it kind of live up to, or was it never about the drive with regards to the CCV?
I haven't driven my one. I did, to my ex-wife's annoyance, for my 40th birthday, she bought me a present of renting a car for the weekend, and we get a rent a classic car.
Okay.
And on their books was an Austin Healey or an E-Type. And I think you're going to say what I chose.
She had visions of a wonderful weekend away in a British sports car.
I think she did, with a scarf on the wire coming out the back there.
And you took her across a ploughed field with 6 eggs on the back seat.
Yeah, her lap was wet through the rain coming through that flat. And this is a family show, so I'm not going to say any more about that. And it was everything that was bad about a student car, I thought at the time. But that was quite a while ago now, so I've always wanted one. And so I had to get it out of my system. I was looking at the prices of them, and they're just way higher than I could afford to buy one already done.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm restoring one.
Are they expensive to restore if you pick one up as a wreck?
They're not really, no. If you go onto YouTube, you can find videos by a Dutch company of how to build one from scratch. You can actually buy every single spare.
Oh, wow.
And you can build a brand new one.
Much a bit like IKEA furniture, that sort of thing, isn't it? You just need 3 boxes from the warehouse.
Exactly.
Away you go, yeah.
Not IKEA.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I don't know whether, did we ask you about your neighbours? Obviously, you lived on a slightly peculiar A-road junction, so did you have neighbours, or were you sort of on an island just surrounded by traffic?
No, we were, we only had one set of neighbours. Obviously, the other one was the pointy bit of land with a bit of woodland on it. And lots of cat graves. But on the other direction was a filling station, which was also a scimitar garage.
Okay.
And that was a filling station when I was a young kid. And then later on, we had the pleasure of living next door to a scrapyard. And that's what it turned into, yeah.
Okay. And any memories from cars turning up there, I guess?
Scimitars, yeah.
Just scimitars, those of them?
Yeah, the owner had a scimitar, or had one every year, and they were absolutely amazing. So I used to love those as well.
And obviously, yeah, mentioned scimitar. How did you end up getting involved with Reliant? Was that just a regular, that's just the gig that came up?
No, I was made redundant from my first job. And back in the day before internet, I went to the library and got out the, can't remember what the name of them are, but they're books where every company in the UK was listed.
Okay.
And I went through the book and I wrote them all down and I applied alphabetically to every company. And Reliant was the first one to reply.
Goodness. That's some perseverance.
What else do you do?
Yeah.
So, I'd already been in a job then by 3 years, so I wanted to continue. And so Reliant was the next one. And they were looking for a designer right at the same time. I think it was just the point in the history when they had been taken over by Jonathan Haynes, who was one of the last owners of Reliant. So that was a historic time. I was lucky enough to apply at the right time with.
Yeah.
Nice.
And how long were you there?
A year.
Oh, okay.
And that was it. The company was very tumultuous. And I found the whole thing really quite stressful. But I did 4 complete car projects full size in that year as a 24-year-old, 25-year-old.
Wow.
And I was really stressed. And I also knew that I needed to learn to digital model, and modeling out a body filler and foam to the budgets of thousands, not hundreds of thousands for a car project, or even tens of thousands, was not the way forward for my career. So I went back to uni after that.
Okay.
It's been a really interesting roller coaster ride up to now. Lots of different companies and different sorts of companies, different volumes of manufacture and stuff like that. And
Have you got a favourite vehicle you've done or been involved with?
apart from the Reliant Robin, that was as a designer. I've also learned to be a digital modeler, which is what I do.
Okay.
If you cut me in half, I'm literally 50% designer and 50% 3D modeler for a job.
Yeah.
And I love doing them both. They're both integral in the design process. And so as a model maker, I was at Morgan. I think we got out the Super 3.
Okay.
And that's another of my favourites. And I'm really proud of that. And an amazing small team. And between us, we got out Super 3, which is fantastic.
Is that your, I guess you're sort of chosen the sort of low volume? Does that give you more freedom as a designer if you're working with sort of low volume stuff rather than a big?
No, I think it's different. It's different. Low volume is freedom because you can take more autonomy in what you're doing, I suppose. But you still have a design manager or the director of the company. It's up to them what happens at the end, whichever company you're in.
Yeah.
I know I've been involved in some major programs for Volkswagen as well.
Okay.
And had the same amount of autonomy with my theme on an interior or something. So I don't think it gives you any more freedom. The regulations and the production techniques are what limit you, and budget.
Yeah.
And the imagination of the director or the market research, depending on what your brief is as well.
Yeah, fair enough. Cool. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Andy. It's been, good to hear about the cars from your past, and also, a bit about your career as well, because it's, especially for myself as kind of a kid growing up wanting to draw cars, sort of fascinating to hear from someone who's done it. So,
Well, my pleasure. It's been great fun. Thanks very much for having me.
Thanks, Andy. Nice to meet you.
And you.
Cheerio. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.
Cheers, Andy. Bye.
Okie dokie. Here we go.
Nice insight into car design.
Yeah, I think it was. It's from an episode point of view, it sort of started a bit slow, didn't it, on the family cars?
Yeah.
Maybe it took a little bit of time for him to warm up to that, but
Yeah, it did a little bit. But no, it was good in the end, wasn't it?
I think so.
Enjoyed it. It's interesting. Good insight into that line of work.
Yeah, like I say, that was what I wanted to do as a kid. My exercise books were full of kind of car drawings and something I looked as doing. I applied for an apprenticeship at Daewoo when I was
Really
15, 16, yeah. And because literally they were pretty much at the top of my road where I live now. And they were based there.
Quite new in the UK at that point.
I think that was 99, 2000. But actually, they ended up never recruiting anyone on that plan because they ended up kind of folding sort of shortly after.
Right.
But that was as close as I got, to be honest. But I wasn't up to scratch. You look at designers such as Andy or kind of other people, and you think, their drawings are something else.
Yeah,
Mine definitely weren't that. But
kind of think you have to have like some sort of natural flair, don't you? Perhaps for that line of. You can be good, but I suppose, like you say, you need to be sort of next level good, don't you, to get anywhere with it, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess the difference between someone who's kind of good at football in the playground and or is in the starting 11.
Yeah.
And I guess it's a similar story with that. But some nice stories. I guess reassuring to hear that his father took a punt on the car auctions, but actually had the knowledge to back it up rather than just I guess some people would sort of follow the, I guess eBay's a little bit like that, isn't it? Oh, I can get this for cheap.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it goes wrong.
At least at the auction, you can usually have a little walk around, can't you? Whereas eBay, majority of the time, you probably don't go and view, do you? You just take a punt, and if it's got panel gaps and tobacco smell, you just accept it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose, caravanning is another one which, I grew up with.
Yeah.
Yeah, frustrating, I suppose, from their point of view that, Dad's driving around in these big old Fords, but they're towing a caravan with a Morris Traveller. But yeah, such was life, I guess, back then that, you can't do anything to the company car, can you?
No.
In the same way that, you can't paint it a funny colour.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, same thing, isn't it now? Yeah.
So nice to hear those stories. Obviously, touch on the Reliant thing as well, him being involved with that project. And thank you to Andy for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, John.
Thanks, mate.
We'll wrap it up. Roll the credits.
Thank you for listening to my dad's car. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please support us. Buy us a coffee and subscribe. And tell all your friends.